This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Denver, Colorado. I'm here with Visible Digital Solutions. They've been serving you since 2014, and they're now providing the design, publishing, and hosting of custom electronic victims advocacy cards. I'm here with the founder, Barry Donovan. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Gary. Glad to be here.
I'm going to start off a little bit about yourself. You're formerly educated at Hartwick College as well as the University of Central Florida. With a wide, really array of experience in marketing, finance, travel, and serving on multiple boards, you launched your own business. Share with me a little bit how this entrepreneurial vision began for you.
Well, it actually began with my dad.
Okay.
My dad was an entrepreneur. He owned his own roofing and siding business after World War II, and then went into politics. But one night after I graduated from UCF, we were out for a walk, and he said to me, "Look, I know you just graduated and you want to, go out there and get a job." And this, he goes, "In time, if you can ever work for yourself, do it." So I had that in the back of my mind, and about 14 years ago, I left the corporate world and launched what was back then Done by Donovan Photography, which Done by Donovan was my dad's roofing slogan.
Really?
So I stole that and launched a photography business, and then the digital business cards and the law enforcement application have come kind of, as you know, things kind of just come out of nowhere.
Yep.
And talking to people and looking at problems and solutions.
It grows a life on its own.
Exactly.
So we're talking about a walk with your dad, kind of changed your life. Just those few words. Good job, Dad.
Yeah.
You provide many digital solutions. So let's start at the beginning. You begin with digital business cards, which have now really been around for many years.
Right.
Still, our viewers out there may need education on what these cards are. So define, what is a digital business card?
Okay, so a regular business card,
Yep.
right? Digital business card takes the information that you would typically load into your contacts on your phone, now that we all
Okay.
have the phones, right? And makes it very easy for somebody to load that information into their address book so they have your information. That's what's out there now. 10 years ago when I started, there was nothing out there.
Yeah.
And what I created was a custom design card based on creating a great first impression.
I mean, so basically this has been around for some time, but most of them, back then, we're talking about template-based cookie-cutter cards that the end user creates, usually themselves online. You offer truly custom design solutions for your clients, especially those folks that value their brand and they also value their image. Tell me how that process is. How do you collect all that for them and make that happen?
Sure, most folks we work with already have a website.
Okay.
Right, and they have a business, they have a brand. Whether they're a huge construction company, a law firm, or a home inspector, or solopreneur, most people have websites. So what we do is we go to their website and kind of pick out the branding elements.
Absolutely.
Make sure they have a nice headshot. If they don't, we can take care of that for them if they're local. If not, we recommend they get a headshot, or we provide them instructions on how to do a headshot yourself, at least temporarily. We gather all that information. We coach them on the types of things you really want to put on your card, because you don't want to overwhelm somebody. You want it to be a good first impression. You want people to know who you are, how you can help them, and how they can get a hold of you. That's the key.
I mean, it seems like a pretty simple concept, but really you found that there are a lot of moving parts in creating these. You developed your own software to really reduce the time, steps, and processes so you can host, manage, and publish custom designed digital cards. That seems like quite a bit going all in, kind of a one-stop shop where you've taken care of everything. Is that right?
Right. When we started, interesting quick story. I had no idea what a digital business card was back then. But I was working, doing consulting for a local manufacturer.
Okay.
And they were going to a trade show. I was hounding them. Look, we got to print up the brochures. We got to print up the brochures. Well, they were delaying. They had a host of products. And I went home one night and I was creating this digital photo album for a family. And I looked at the software that I was using and I thought, can I shoehorn this and make it kind of a card that they can share at the trade show and not bring the printed brochures? So I threw something together with a headshot of the sales rep, their contact information, their logo, and then pictures of their products, and brought it in the next day. Showed it to them. They're like, this is cool, let's try it. they did it, and that's how everything kind of came to be. But I did have to use like 7 or 8 different pieces of software
Right,
to create
exactly.
that thing. And I thought, this is madness. And that wasn't my business back then. It took another 6 months for me to realize, hey, this could be a business.
Wow, so doing something personal one night, turned it into a business venture, and created a way to do it much easier and better than you had to do it that night. Let's face it, mobile is where it is. Does this continue to be the trend? And when you say mobile, what devices are you talking about?
You're holding it right now.
Right here.
Mobile phone. I mean, you could use a iPad or something like that, but you look at the biggest and most valued piece of real estate in business today is the home screen of that phone you're holding right there. So mobile is where it's at. People get all their information, not all, but you know what I'm saying. They get their information on their phone nowadays.
Yeah.
So why not package something that they already have and put it on something they already have, I should say. So,
Absolutely. I mean, when we're talking about a digital card, what is the difference between a digital card and a digital brochure, or is there one?
the technology is similar. The sharing technology that we have is similar. It's the content.
Okay.
A digital brochure, picture yourself going into a doctor's office and you see a rack of brochures. We take that information and we create a application that they could just have on the home screen of their phone, has all that information, has a link, one-touch link to call them or go email them or go find another resource, that type of thing. So we're taking that printed material that is maybe a trifold brochure, and we're creating an application for them. Now they can have still people like the printed brochures, but print half of what you already have printed. Absolutely. And put a QR code up there for the people that want to scan it and have it on their phone.
An extension of that, a supplement to what you have existing. Right. As your business name states, digital solutions. But you have gone even beyond cards and brochures. So what are electronic victims advocacy cards? Tell me that.
So, and I didn't know this a few years ago, but when you're a victim of a crime, by law enforcement has to inform you of your rights, your victim's rights. So when I was building a digital card for a young lady, we had a consultation, and she was a victim of domestic abuse.
Okay.
She was starting a company that was for women who have been abused domestically, a protection company.
Yeah.
And she mentioned the word victim's rights. And I asked her more. I just questioned her about that, and that's how I learned about this. So when I hung up the phone, I was like, well, that's kind of goofy. They hand out a brochure. Why can't they use can I use my technology and create a card that they could share on site or email or text it to the victim afterwards? So I dummied up a card. And I went and researched and found one of them on brochure, a PDF, dummied up a card, and was going to reach out to some law enforcement agencies. But as luck would have it, just like the digital business card idea, a photographer friend of mine called me. She lives in California. She used to live here. She said, I have a client that needs headshots. They're in Denver. Do you want to do it? And I asked her about who the client was, not who it was, but how many.
Yeah.
She said, well, there's 10 headshots, and plus the lady has her in-laws are in their 90s, and they need a family portrait, and I do photography. So I said, sure, I'll do it. Give her my number, have her call me. The next day the phone rings, I answer it, and I'll never forget it. The lady said, hi, Barry, this is Dolores Papel. I'm the Victim Services Director for the Colorado State Patrol.
Wow.
And I went like this. Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
So we chatted about the headshots, and at the end of the call, I said, can I ask you a question about victim rights? I'm working on a project. And I explained to her what I was doing, and I'll never forget what she said. She said, oh my God, you and I are going to be best friends. And we are.
And you are. So, I'd imagine.
So that's how that came about.
That is
crazy.
That is an impressive story. That is great. Like you said, somebody who realized the value that you brought to the table, and they just happened to be right place, right time.
Right.
These accident victims and victims of crime, I mean, really, they have been unexpectedly thrown into a situation due to the actions of someone else.
Right.
I mean, that to me sounds rather overwhelming. Can you kind of explain that situation for the viewers, what that must feel like for them being at that point?
Sure. I mean, think of domestic abuse is horrible in this country, right? Think of a victim who just had to call the police on their partner, spouse, whatever the case may be, maybe gotten physically abused or mentally abused. And they had to call law enforcement. So they got a police car in front of their house or apartment. They got flashing lights going on. They got neighbors looking. They're dealing with this, and they've probably been dealing with it for a while.
Sure.
They're emotionally a wreck. So the last thing, not the last thing, but here's a brochure and give us a call. Probably not going to register.
That doesn't register at all. I mean, according to the Victim Rights Act, victims have the right to be heard, informed, and present. With these cards, they have all this information really in one place. I mean, is this an app? How do they get it? Do the agencies provide it for people? Explain that.
So it's a browser-based application.
Okay.
Using our technology that we use for our digital business cards.
Okay.
We've had to make some changes in the past couple of years because of the ADA Act, Disability Act, but it's still the same application.
Sure.
They get it so we bill out the cards for them.
Okay.
They provide us basically their brochures, and then we recreate those and do some graphics work for them. Then what happens is on the application there is a share icon, and when they hit that share icon, if they're in the field with a victim, the icon drops down and they have a choice. They could text it, email, copy the link, or QR code. They hit the QR code button, the victim scans the QR code, and it loads to their phone. Now the victim has that information on their phone.
That is fantastic. I mean, it has local, regional, national resources, important phone numbers, email addresses. We're talking about links to any web page, documents, video, really anything online. I mean, this really is user-friendly with, like you say, one-touch access.
Right, right.
What has been the feedback from people who have been able to use that? Have you been able to get some of that?
Law enforcement agencies love it because it cuts their print budget tremendously. Some of the agencies, the larger agencies that I work with, it saves $6,000, $7,000 a year on print budgets. The police officers love it because they don't have to worry about, they go to the back of their car, I forgot to restock my VRA brochures. My son was a sheriff's deputy in Arapahoe County up to about a year ago. He was there for 8 years. I asked him about this after I got off the phone with that person. I called him directly and said, hey, tell me about this VRA stuff. And he goes, it's a pain because I'm always forgetting mine. And he played right into my hands. I didn't know this. Yep. So officers love having it handy right there. And the victim advocates love it because the state changes stuff all the time.
I mean, yeah,
so we
obviously
update that information, and now the victim has updated information right there and don't have to worry about reprints.
I mean, yeah, you've basically taken the tangible to the digital, and as we know, agencies provide these for the victims, but the information, like you said, changes, and so obviously you need the current information. Easy to update, I would assume.
Yeah, we do all the updating for them. Typically what I do is I reach out to the state agency who handles that in the fall after the legislative session's over and say, hey, have there been any updates or changes to the VRA Act locally? And they'll let me know, and then I'll just go update all that for the client. They don't even have to think about it.
That's fantastic. So not only it's easier, but like you say, it's cutting out printed material, postage, labor to send, so it's cost effective as well. Where can our viewers out there find all of your digital solutions? I mean, can the process begin right on your website?
Yeah, at visibledigitalsolutions.com, and then we have logos for each of our different products. They can tap on those logos and get more information.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
You got it. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website, and you can see all the services they provide. I mean, simply tap an image on the home page to access the solution that you want to know more about. Once again, that is Visible Digital Solutions, home of the one and only Victim Services Card. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.